January 2026 patch for Western Lost Ark is huge as it adds up the ones from last October and December of the Korean server. Included are big changes for support, so I'm here to give you an overview for what changed. First up, changes to the Ark Passive Enlightenment tree, and this applies to all 4 supports. Standing Striker got buffed, so you don't lose stacks from paralysis anymore. You only lose them from push. Personally, I use Standing Striker on all of my supports, and this gives me even more of an incentive to do so. The next one is a change that the West already received: Transcendence and Elixirs being integrated into the Arc passive. On the 4th row, you can now choose 2 out of Luminary, Advance, and Prayer. You might already know this, but Luminary got buffed, so it's no longer 8 seconds duration, it's now 10 seconds, so it now aligns it with the duration of Magic Stream. This makes it easier to manage those stacks as you can keep them through cutscenes with more ease. As for what to choose here, Luminary and Prayer are generally the ones to go for, because for Advance it's annoying to go pick up the orbs that spawn, and the attack speed, movement speed that you get out of it is unnecessary. Let's look at changes to each support, starting with Bard. Now this one's short. Winter Music is slightly faster, and her Winter Music Star Core got a slight buff. Bard got the least changes because she's currently OP. She dominated the Kazros TFM race and speedrun event, and so it makes sense that she doesn't get much. Personally, I would have liked to see them nerf Courageous Tune's raid-wide effect and give her process immunity on brands, but it is what it is. Now, for Paladin. Holy Sword received a buff. It is now much faster. They shaved off the animation lock front and back, so you can react to sudden counters much better with it, and you can apply Burst Stagger within a shorter time frame. There's a Star Core change that makes Holy Sword even better. So what they did is they removed the Holy Area Core, which was just plain bad, and they added a Blue Skill Core instead. What this does is it makes both blue skills 20% faster, it gives push immunity to Executioner Sword, and it changes Holy Sword's piety mechanism. Every time you cast Holy Sword, it's 3 hits, and each hit fills up your bar by 2%, so a total of 6%. If you have the Ancient Core, this goes up to 9%. What's great about this is that the piety gain is fixed, which means that you can use it while Holy Aura is on, and it will extend the duration of the buff. So this gives new purpose to Holy Sword. You'll be spamming it all the time to fill up your piety or to extend your buff duration. There's also a change to one of the Order Moon Cores. One of them used to activate Destiny when Holy Explosion was used. The problem was that it forced you to take Holy Explosion, so they changed it to Divine Wave instead. Holy Explosion received a significant buff. The normal mode tripod used to have a 2-second animation lock, and they removed this so the skill procs really quick. They also added 30% piety gain and stagger, which is nice. Now you might be wondering, is it worth taking Holy Explosion now, especially with the associated Star Core? The answer is yes, you can, but I don't recommend it. The problem with Holy Explosion is that the brand duration to cooldown ratio is pretty bad. 12-second brand duration with around 10-second cooldown means that you only have a grace period of 2 seconds to reapply the brand, and so it's really tight. And if you happen to miss your brand, because God knows what happens in raids, you'll have at least 8 seconds of brand downtime, so there's a lot of risk. You might think that the double stack from the core will remove this risk, but I don't think it fundamentally fixes the risk factor. So personally, I'll stick to Light Shock with the new Blue Skill Core. Overall assessment of Paladin after these changes, he did get some improvements, but he currently feels lackluster compared to the other supports because they got some really nice buffs. The main problem is that his ceiling is closed off because of his identity structure. You have guaranteed downtime when piety reaches 0, and you only have limited ways to extend the Holy Aura. The toggle feature is really nice, but the 30% tax is too heavy. All of these aspects hurt him on the ceiling side of things, so I think we can expect some additional buffs going into the future. Huge changes for artists, starting with Starry Night. It's now a point mode skill that can be cast at range, so you can cover twice more distance compared to before. And you don't have to hold it, you just press it once and it'll apply full duration, and you can just move slightly to cancel it. For Sunrise, the heal ball is gone, and when you press X, the person with the lowest HP is automatically healed. No more need to complain about the DPS is not picking up the heal. You can now force feed it down their throats. Note that the AoE heal is not gone. It's still there, because it's a separate node in the Ark passive. Next, Whimsical Marble is gone, good riddance, and they changed the side node so that whenever you're using your Harmony meter, whether it's a buff or a heal, you always give out a 5-second shield. Last up, biggest change, they removed the Ink Marble, aka the Red Ball, And instead, they gave artists a number of things. First, Moonfall buffs are longer. So a 1 bubble buff is 6 seconds long and a 2 bubble buff is 12 seconds long. Second, the Moonfall buffs stack, meaning that if you already have Moonfall buff applied and you cast a second one, it adds to the duration. So for instance, if you have 10 seconds left on a Moonfall buff and you cast another 2 bubble, it becomes 22 seconds. This is huge because there's no more harmony waste. You can always convert any excess bubbles into buffs, so it's a sizable buff to artists' identity uptime. Lastly, the ink energy stacks are still there, but instead of spawning the red ball at 8 stacks, the cooldown of your normal skills go down by 15% directly, and T-skill cooldown goes down by a fixed 4 seconds. Not having to go pick up the red ball is great, and now one thing you want to be careful about is that, as a rule of thumb, you want to cast T-skill before you send out Moonfall buffs whenever you can, so that you can benefit the most out of the cooldown refund, since it's difficult to keep track of the stacks in the heat of the fight during raids. Overall assessment for artists. She's simply the biggest winner. High identity buff uptime with Moonfall being stackable. High T-skill uptime making her benefit the most out of the T-skill Sun and Moon order course. Tons of shields, insane heals, push immunity on Hopper. She's the most well-rounded support and she's now really easy to play. No Ls, only Ws. Artist players should be happy. Let's move on. Lastly, let's look at Valkyrie. Huge changes here too. Salvation Sight, which is our DR, got a huge buff. The shields that it provided, there's 2 of them, they're both stronger and longer. And then the dash now goes through bosses. So if you need to protect someone on the other side of the boss, you don't have to go around, you can just go directly through the boss. This allows you to protect party mates better, you can deal with mechs better, so much mobility and versatility. And as if that were not enough, you now have status immunity on it as well. So you can parry all sorts of CC. You can throw yourself at party mates to protect them without fear of you getting CC'd. It's basically like having 2 spacebars. It makes things so much more convenient. Some things to note here though, this status immunity does not apply to your teammates, it's only for you. And the status immunity is only applied during the dash and the initial defensive stance. So once you get hit and the second shield procs, you lose the status immunity. Next up, we have changes to the Ark Passive. Whenever you cast your Z buff, you now recover 15% MP, so that helps with any existing mana issues. And then you provide a 10% DR to your party for the duration of the buff. So this is a nice baseline of DR. It does get overridden when you apply another higher DR, like from your Seraphic Leap, but at least you have a nice baseline of protection. Then they changed the way Brilliant Bladecraft works. It now applies mid-stagger, so you can save the auto attack for stagger checks, or use it right away to help with cumulative stagger. And the shield got removed. It was basically moved over to Seraphic Oath. So on Oath, they changed one of the first line tripods, the one that used to give a shield only to yourself. It now provides a 5-second shield to the entire party. This is great because you don't have to think about auto attacking every time after using the Z buff to provide shield. You just naturally provide it by rotating your attack power buffs. So it naturally increases shield uptime. Requiem Rain can now be stacked twice. And with the Ash Star Core from the Ark Red, you now have double stacks on both red skills. And this is big, not only because you have more burst stagger potential, but also because it's more piety meter, especially on your starting rotations, as it allows you to cast 4 back-to-back Z buffs. Overall assessment on Valkyrie. She's in a terrific spot. She's my favorite support to play right now. So much flexibility, so much mobility. Being able to dash through bosses is insane. She has nuances in identity management that I find fun to play around. She's definitely a huge winner in this patch. And that's it for my overview of the January 2026 support balance patch. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.